63, 64. Populations of paracamels continued to exist in the North American Arctic into early Pleistocene. 71, 72. This creature is estimated to have stood around 9 feet, 2.7 meters, tall. The Bactrian camel diverged from the dromedary about 1 million years ago, according to the fossil record. 73. The last camel native to North America was Camelops hestinus, which vanished along with horses, short-faced bears, mammoths and mastodons, ground sloths, saber-toothed cats, and many other megafauna, coinciding with the migration of humans from Asia at the end of the Pleistocene, around 15,000–11,000 years ago. 74, 75. A drawing of 2 early camels. Stenomalus illustration. Stenomalus skeleton. Stenomalus skeleton. Pobrotherum skeleton. Pobrotherum skeleton. Procanelus skull. Procanelus skull. Camelopshistinus, the last true camel native to North America. Domestication. Like horses, camels originated in North America and eventually spread across Beringia to Asia. They survived in the Old World, and eventually humans domesticated them and spread them globally. Along with many other megafauna in North America, the original wild camels were wiped out during the spread. A camel carrying supplies. Tang Dynasty. A man on a camel. Tang Dynasty. Women breastfeeding on a camel. Tang Dynasty. Of the first indigenous peoples of the Americas from Asia into North America, 10 to 12,000 years ago, although fossils have never been associated with definitive evidence of hunting. 74, 75. Most camels surviving today are domesticated. 42, 76. Alt-Haufral populations exist in Australia, India and Kazakhstan. Wild camels survive only in the wild Bactrian camel population of the Gobi Desert. 12. History. When humans first domesticated camels is disputed. Dromedaries may have first been domesticated by humans in Somalia or South Arabia sometime during the 3rd millennium BC, the Bactrian in Central Asia around 2500 BC, 18, 77, 78, 79, as at Shah-I Sokhta, also known as the Burnt City, Iran. 80. Martin Hyde's 2010 work on the domestication of the camel tentatively concludes that humans had domesticated the Bactrian camel by at least the middle of the 3rd millennium somewhere east of the Zagros Mountains, with the practice then moving into Mesopotamia. Hyde suggests that mentions of camels in the patriarchal narratives may refer, at least in some places, to the Bactrian camel, while noting that the camel is not mentioned in relationship to Canaan. 81. Recent excavations in the Timna Valley by Ladar Perhen and Erez Ben Yosef discovered what may be the earliest domestic camel bones yet found in Israel or even outside the Arabian Peninsula, dating to around 930 BC. This garnered considerable media coverage, as it is strong evidence that the stories of Abraham, Jacob, Esau, and Joseph were written after this time. 82, 83. The existence of camels in Mesopotamia but not in the eastern Mediterranean lands is not a new idea. The historian Richard Bulliet did not think that the occasional mention of camels in the Bible meant that the domestic camels were common in the Holy Land at that time. 84. The archaeologist William F. Albright, writing Jevon earlier, saw camels in the Bible as an anachronism. 85. The official report by Perhen and Ben Joseph notes the introduction of the dromedary camel, Camelus dromedarius, as a pack animal to the southern Levant, substantially facilitated trade across the vast deserts of Arabia, promoting both economic and social change. For example, Kohler 1984, Burowski 1998, 112–116, Jasmine 2005. This has generated extensive discussion regarding the date of the earliest domestic camel in the southern Levant, and beyond, for example, Albright 1949. 207, Epstein 1971, 558 584, Bulliet 1975, Zarins 1989, Cohn-Erkman 2002, Jasmine 2005, 2006, Hyde 2010. Rosen. Most scholars today agree that the dromedary was exploited early Iron Age, not before the 12th century BC, and concludes current data from copper smelting sites of the Arava Valley enable us to pinpoint the introduction of domestic camels to the southern Levant more precisely based on stratigraphic contexts associated with an extensive suite of radiocarbon dates. The data indicate that Theisvent occurred not earlier than the last third of the 10th century BC, and most probably during this time. The coincidence of this event with a major reorganization of the copper industry off-region attributed to the results of the campaign of Pharaoh Shoshenkai raises the possibility that the two were connected, and that camels were introduced as part of the efforts to improve efficiency by facilitating trade. 83. A camel harnessed to a cart loaded with branches and twigs. A camel serving as a draft animal in Pakistan, 2009. A painting of a man sitting on a camel and playing the drums. A camel in a ceremonial procession, its rider playing kettle drums, Mughal Empire, c. 1840. Petroglyph of a camel, Negev, southern Israel, prior to c. 5300 BC. Petroglyph of a camel, Negev, southern Israel, prior to c. 5300 BC. Joseph sells grain by Bartholomew Spreenberg, 1655, showing camel with rider at left. Joseph sells grain by Bartholomew Spreenberg, 1655, showing camel with rider at left. Textiles. Desert tribes and Mongolian nomads use camel hair for tents, yurts, clothing, bedding and accessories. Camels have outer guard hairs and soft inner down, and the fibers are sorted by color and age of animal. The guard hairs can be felted for use as waterproof coats for the herdsman, while the softer hair is used for premium goods. 86. The fiber can be spun for use in weaving or made into yarns for hand knitting or crochet. Pure camel hair is recorded as being used for Western garments from the 17th century onwards, and from the 19th century a mixture of wool and camel hair was used. 87. Military uses. A special BSF Camel Contingent Republic Day Parade, New Delhi, 2004, a painting of soldiers on camels. Camel Corps at Magdaba, Egypt, 23 December 1916. By Harold Septimus Power, 1925. By at least 1200 BC the first camel saddles had appeared, and Bactrian camels could be ridden. The first saddle was positioned toth back of the camel, and control of the Bactrian camel was exercised by means of a stick. However, between 500 and 100 BC Bactrian camels came into military use. New saddles, which were inflexible and bent, were put over the humps and divided the rider's weight over the animal. In the 7th century BC the military Arabian saddle evolved, which again improved the saddle design slightly. 88, 89. Military forces have used camel cavalries in wars throughout Africa, the Middle East, and into the modern-day Border Security Force, BSF, of India, though as of July 2012, the BSF planned their placement of camels with ATVs. The first documented use of camel cavalries occurred in the Battle of Karka in 853 BC. 90, 91, 92. Armies have also used camels as freight animals instead of horses and mules. 93, 94. The East Roman Empire used auxiliary forces known as dromedary too, whom the Romans recruited in desert provinces. 95, 96. The camels were used mostly in combat because of their ability to scare off horses at close range. Horses are afraid of the camel's scent. 19. A quality famously employed by the Achaemenid Persians when fighting Lydia in the Battle of Thymbra, 547 BC. 54, 97, 98, 19th and 20th centuries. A photo of Bulgarian military transport camels in 1912. A camel caravan of the Bulgarian military during the First Balkan War 1912. The United States Army established the U.S. Camel Corps stationed in California, in the 19th century. 19. One may still see stables at the Benicia Arsenal in Benicia, California, where they nowadays serve as the Benicia Historical Museum. 99. Though the experimental use of camels was seen as a success, John B. Floyd, Secretary of War in 1858, recommended that funds be allocated towards obtaining 1,000 more camels. The outbreak of the American Civil War in 1861 saw the end of the Camel Corps. Texas became part of the Confederacy, and most of the camels were left to wander away into the desert. 94. France created a Meharist Camel Corps in 1912 as part of the Armée d'Afrique in the Sahara. 100. In order to exercise greater control over the camel-riding Tuareg and Arab insurgents, as previous efforts to defeat them on foot had failed. 101. The Free French Camel Corps fought during World War II, and camel-mounted units remained in service until the end of French rule over Algeria in 1962. 102. In 1916, the British created the Imperial Camel Corps. It was originally used to fight the Senussi, but was later used in the Sinai and Palestine campaign in World War I. The Imperial Camel Corps comprised infantrymen mounted on camels for movement across desert, though they dismounted at battle sites and fought on foot. After July 1918, the Corps began to become run down, receiving no new reinforcements, and was formally disbanded in 1919. 103. In World War I, the British Army also created the Egyptian Camel Transport Corps, which consisted of a group of Egyptian camel drivers and their camels. The Corps supported British war operations in Sinai, Palestine, and Syria by transporting supplies to the troops. 104, 105, 106. The Somaliland Camel Corps was created by colonial authorities in British Somaliland in 1912. It was disbanded in 1944. 107. Bactrian camels were used by Romanian forces during World War II in the Caucasian region. 108. At the same period, the Soviet units operating around Astrakhan in 1942 adopted local camels as draft animals due to shortage of trucks and horses, and kept them even after moving out of the area. Despite severe losses, some of these camels ended up as far west as to Berlin itself. 109. The Bikaner Camel Corps of British India fought alongside the British Indian Army in World Wars I and II. 110. The Tropas Nomadas, nomad troops, were an auxiliary regiment of Sahrawi tribesmen serving in the colonial army in Spanish Sahara, today Western Sahara. Operational from the 1930s until the end of the Spanish presence in the territory in 1975, the Tropas Nomadas were equipped with small arms and led by Spanish officers. The unit guarded outposts and sometimes conducted patrols on camelback. 111, 112, 21st century competition. At the King Abdulaziz Camel Festival, in Saudi Arabia, thousands of camels are paraded and are judged on the lips and humps. The festival also features camel racing and camel milk tasting and has combined prize money of $57 million, £40 million. In 2018, 12 camels were disqualified from the beauty contest after it was discovered their owners had tried to improve their camels' good looks with injections of Botox into the animals' lips, noses and jaws. 113. In 2021, over 40 camels were disqualified for acts of tampering and deception in beautifying camels. 114. Food uses. Dairy. Camels at the Khan and Old Bridge, Large Jan, Palestine, now in Israel. 1870s. Drawing camel milk is a staple food of desert nomad tribes and is sometimes considered a meal itself. A nomad can live on only camel milk for almost a month. 1939, 115, 116. Camel milk can readily be made into yogurt, but can only be made into butter if it is soured first, churned, and a clarifying agent is then added. 19. Until recently, camel milk could not be made into camel cheese because rennet was unable to coagulate. The milk proteins follow the collection of curds. 117. Developing less wasteful uses of milk. The FAO commissioned Professor J.P. Ramit of the École Nationale Supérieure d'Agronomie et des Industries Alimentaires, who was able to produce curdling by the addition of calcium phosphate and vegetable rennet in the 1990s. 118. The cheese produced from this process has low levels of cholesterol and is easy to digest, even for the lactose intolerant. 119, 120. A camel calf nursing on camel milk. Camel milk can also be made into ice cream. 121, 122. Meat. A Somali camel meat and rice dish. Camel meat pilau. From Pakistan they provide food in the form of meat and milk. 123. Approximately 3.3 million camels and camelids are slaughtered each year for meat worldwide. 124. A camel carcass can provide a substantial amount of meat. The male dromedary carcass can weigh 300-400 kilograms, 661-882 pound, while the carcass of a male Bactrian can weigh up to 650 kilograms, 1,433 pound. The carcass of a female dromedary was less than the male, ranging between 250 and 350 kilograms, 550 and 770 pound. 18. The brisket, ribs and loin are among the preferred parts, and the hump is considered a delicacy. 125. The hump contains white and sickly fat, which can be used to make the clay, preserved meat, of mutton, beef, or camel. 126. On the other hand, camel milk and meat are rich in protein, vitamins, glycogen, and other nutrients, making them essential in the diet of many people. From chemical composition to meat quality, the dromedary camel is preferred breed for meat production. It does well even in arid areas due to its unusual physiological behaviors and characteristics, which include tolerance to extreme temperatures, radiation from the sun, water paucity, rugged landscape and low vegetation. 127. Camel meat is reported to taste like coarse beef, but older camels can prove to be very tough. 13. 18. Although camel meat becomes tenderer the more it is cooked. 128. Camel is one of the animals that can be ritually slaughtered and divided into 3 portions, one for the home, one for extended family / social networks, and one for those who cannot afford to slaughter an animal themselves, for the Kurban of Eid al-Adha. 129, 130. The Abu Dhabi Officers Club serves a camel burger mixed with beef or lamb fat in order to improve the texture and taste. 131. In Karachi, Pakistan, some restaurants prepare nihari from camel meat. 132. Specialist camel butchers provide expert cuts, with the hump considered the most popular. 133. Camel meat has been eaten for centuries. It has been recorded by ancient Greek writers as an available dish at banquets in ancient Persia, usually roasted whole. 134. The Roman Emperor Heliogabalus enjoyed camel's heel. 39.